This is Cogitations with Carl Hartman, minister at Main Street Church of Christ in Lockney.
Good Sunday morning. I'm glad that you're up and moving, and I hope your day is already off to a great and a blessed start. And I'm thankful that you chose to tune in to Cogitations this Sunday morning here on 106.1 The Flip FM. As I indicated at the close of our program last Sunday, that I anticipated having a guest on with me today, and that happens. I know sometimes in the past we plan on having a guest and then something happens and schedules change and we end up not having that guest, but everything worked out and came together, and we'll have Kayla Sherman on with us this morning. Some of you out there in the listening audience may already know Kayla. She's involved in a lot of different things in and around our communities. But particularly, one of the things that we're going to talk about this morning, and you may have already be aware of it, is she has produced a new ebook called Drop-Off Line Devotional. It's formatted as an e-file, and it's a very good project, very good book. I'm trying to think of a good term for it.
Maybe resource.
Resource. There we go. A good resource for parents. I know raising 3 kids myself, all of them are adults, and our youngest is anticipating her first child, so I'm on the verge of grandparenthood. I don't know what I think about that yet, but it'll be exciting and fun, I know. But we were always looking for resources to engage with our children, but just beyond engaging, to engage with them on things that are positive, things that are spiritual, things that will also help with their walk and their relationship with God, and just to equip them for life and equip them for the day, and to, especially in the morning, and from what I understand from the drop-off line devotional, it's kind of geared for a morning when you're dropping them off, to try to prepare them to have a positive, well-motivated day. And so I'm going to turn the mic over to Kayla for a minute just to tell us a little bit about what may have inspired her to put this resource together for parents.
Sure, and I really appreciate the time to be able to come on and share this resource with other families. I have 3 kiddos myself. My company is called 3 Kiddos Publishing. So if you have children out there and you're looking for different resources, we've got lots of different things on there. But specifically for the devotional, my children started pre-K last year in Lockney. And mornings weren't always easy for us. I have one child that's very picky about what she wears every day. So her and I often had those hard mornings trying to just get clothes on her body to go to school. I have another child that, if she doesn't have her breakfast exactly how she wants it, that's not a great start to the day either. And parents can line up a whole list of things that they struggle with in that time before they take them to school. But I found that I really wanted to make sure that no matter how that morning prep went, that as I dropped them off to school, and we have a 2-minute drive to Lockney Elementary, but in that 2 minutes, I wanted something positive that I could share with them, that I could inspire them, that I could motivate them, some type of positive affirmation that they could hopefully keep in their little heads, even though they were only 4 years old at the time. And that's kind of where this inspiration came from. And the first actual day, so it's separated into 6 weeks. 5 days a week is how it's listed on the devotional. So you'll see like week 1, day 1 on the first segment of it. And that's actually the prayer that me and my children say every single morning whenever we go to school. Dear Jesus, help us at school today, help us to learn, help us to listen, and help us to always be a good friend. In Jesus' name, amen. That's how it starts. And that's what my children repeat every morning. But this year I wanted to give them something more than just that same prayer every single morning. I wanted to give them more enlightenment and more conversation starters of how they could be that positive influence, even though they're just in kindergarten this year. So it is geared towards children as young as pre-K or kindergarten. Parents could adjust what the words and stuff on there are if they needed to, but these would be things that parents themselves could benefit for, or you could change the language a little bit on the statement that's on that page for a junior high kid. So a lot of people have asked if it's only for elementary aged kids. It's appropriate for elementary aged kids, but it can definitely be vamped up a little bit for those older kids and even for adults.
Yeah. I think anything that's appropriate for children is appropriate for all of us.
All of us,
and
for sure.
It's probably a better fruit to be feeding ourselves than a lot of things that we could be feeding ourselves. And I find that interesting. A lot of things that are created and developed and are shared with the world actually come out of a necessity from that individual to create a resource for themselves.
Yes.
And probably a lot of us out there in radio land this morning at some point have created some kind of resource for ourselves in some area of life, which might benefit a lot of other people. And so it's always good if you have a good resource that you develop like this one, to just share it with the world.
Of course.
And let other people benefit from it. And it's a struggle, I know, to just think of, you have an intention. I want to have this positive interaction with my kids, but I don't know how to make it happen. And so a resource like this is vital to kind of move that forward and be able to start it with a positive day. And you talked about, you can adapt it.
Yes.
So one of the things that just comes to my mind when you're talking about adapting it, parents, that requires us to be a little proactive and maybe look ahead.
Yes.
Look ahead and see what is there. Because you can also use it for a catalyst. Kayla was talking about how she has a 2-minute car ride to the elementary school. Maybe your car ride's 15 minutes. So this sort of forms a baseline to even get a conversation started. And with the elementary side, they're more on the receiving. A lot of the elementary kids are receiving. They're still sponges. They're absorbing. They'll have questions, but the questions are more to find definition of things. But as you move to that junior high and above, they begin to have different kinds of questions.
Yes.
So the different thoughts to get your day started may prompt a discussion. To look for deeper meaning and deeper understanding of just the spiritual things that can compel us to have a positive day and a positive interaction with everybody that's around us. So always look ahead and plan ahead and take any resource, and including the drop-off line devotional, and allow it to just be that catalyst that you can build on. I glanced over it briefly. I'll have to admit I hadn't had a chance to really dig into it. But even in its state that it's presented in, you have plenty of material to just simply get those brains moving in the right direction. And I'm going to kind of pause there for a second before we even forget about it. So let's say I want to get my hands on this.
Yes.
Where do I go to get it?
Good question there. So I do have a website. It's www.3kidospublishing.com. You can also find me on social media. I'm on Facebook more than Instagram. I'm trying to get better at Instagram. It's a learning process. But I do have an author page. It's Kayla Sherman, children's book author. If you search for that, you can find it on social media. But 3kidospublishing.com is the easiest way to get on there. You'll go to Shop Library. It's $10. I am looking at doing some discount codes and things like that. So from this, we may be able to do like a heard on air discount code. I'll try to put that on there. But it's a really small fee. It's $10, and you will get an email for you to download that file. I will say have your phone with you and ready to download that file as soon as you purchase it, because it is a one-time link. But just my phone number is all over my website. You can message me or text me if you have any problems with that. And I'm going to do a video on how to do that, because I know some people have said, well, where does it go on your phone once you download it? If you have an Apple phone, it goes into your files. So it's a blue folder, an app that's automatically on your iPhone. I'm going to have to do some research on where it goes on Android. But that's just the easiest way. It's a downloadable PDF. Yeah. And you could also print it out yourself if you wanted it in a hard copy.
Well, being an Android user, I'm pretty sure it probably just drops right down into your download file. There's a download file, and that's where I usually find a lot of stuff that I don't know where it went.
That you didn't mean for it to go
Yes.
there. Yes.
And so that's where it ends up. I'm also on the Cogitations.net website on our links page. I'll put a link up also to take you to the Three Kiddos Publishing. So you can always, if you can't remember Three Kiddos Publishing, you're like, where do I go to get that e-file? Then you can remember to just go to Cogitations, and there'll be a link there, just like with other people we've had on the program in the past. $10. $10. You know, when there's a lot of things that you can spend money on to invest in your children, and $10 is not a very big investment monetarily wise. So you're getting, I think, a lot of benefit from that $10. Now, if I go to www.threekiddos.publishing.com, is that the only thing I'm going to find there?
It is not. So with Three Kiddos Publishing, this was a passion project that I started on the side. I have written a children's book. It is not out for purchase yet, but hopefully by mid-September it will be, and that will be a printed book. So I wanted to be a children's book author. It's always been a goal of mine, and this last year I set that as, by the end of 2023, I would have my first book out, and we are on track to do that. I was contacted by my illustrator, which is a fantastic woman. She goes by the name The Italic Illustrator, and she's based out of Michigan. And she has illustrated tons of children's books, and she's actually written her own children's book. She's a calligrapher. She's just a fantastic artist. She had the opportunity that she asked me if I wanted to publish for her authors that she was illustrating for. So she currently has 8 authors that she's working with and illustrating children's books for, anything from books about teacher resources and positive. We have a author that's a play therapist, so she's written a book about a dog to teach children about feelings. And there's another one that teaches kids coping skills. There's all different types of resources on there, and they've all decided that they want to partner with me. So not only will I be publishing my own children's books, but I'll be publishing for right now 8 other authors, and I'm looking for other projects too.
All right, well, that's exciting because that gives us a one-stop shop, hopefully,
yes,
that'll continue to grow and continue to develop, and just be a place you can go and find all kinds of resources,
yes,
for your kids and to connect with your children. And it's vital. Jesus himself said, "Let the little children come to me," and we're called to be like children. And so there's a lot that we can learn, I think, from children and from just their general demeanor and the way that they just bounce through the day. And the best way to learn from them is to engage with them as we attempt to, nurture them and educate them and to help them to grow and to prosper. In essence, we're receiving something back too if we're really paying attention to just how they just view the world around them.
Absolutely. They're the best resource for content you could ever have. If you're a mother, you have a children's book in your mind because your kids have given you plenty of content.
Yep. I told my family long ago when our kids were still young and in elementary school that I wanted to put cameras in the car and just start some kind of YouTube channel or podcast or something called Riding with the Hartmans. And that was vetoed back then. But now as they look back, they're like, we should have done that. That would have just been so popular. Just the conversations that you have and the directions that they go in.
Yes.
So let's ask this question as I'm sitting here thinking, what if there's someone out there in the listening audience that's writing or has written? Can they contact you?
Absolutely. Right now, I have one illustrator signed on. However, I'm talking to some other people that I know are fantastic artists in our area, trying to get 1 or 2 others that might be looking to also have a passion project. My whole concept with this is ideas don't belong on a shelf, but your book does. And the thing is that people don't only have ideas about a children's book. They may have always wanted to illustrate a children's book, or they may be really good at content editing. Like we've got a teacher over in Lockney that has always wanted to do content editing. I need an editor. So I'm trying to pull people from our local community into this project and publish their books, get them involved through illustrations, get them involved through promoting all of these positive resources. So, of course, if you're a parent out there or a teacher or just someone that really loves writing and you've got a book idea in your head, share it with me. I would love to get it out there. My illustrator is a little bit backed up. She's got projects, I think, on schedule until the end of October, but we are looking to get at least 2 books a month finished and published out there. So that's a big goal that we've set for ourselves, but it's one that I think we're ready for.
All right. That's exciting times. Well, I'll go ahead and volunteer to be an illustrator for you,
All right.
but I only do stick figures. Okay?
That's about my whenever she said, well, can you draw out like a storyboard for me? I was like, I sure can, but it's going to be lots of stick figures. But she's fantastic. She took my stick figures and turned it into a work of art. So she's an awesome person.
And, you know, I may be getting way ahead here, but we have a book at home. And I'm trying to remember the name of it. It involves ninjas because it was written by an elementary school young man who was my oldest son. And but it was a project at school where the kids could create a story and actually get it published. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about writers and, parents, maybe you're not a writer parent, but maybe you have a kid who likes to write stories.
Those are actually the best-selling children's books out there, is the books that are written and or illustrated by children, because they know what other kids want to read. Yep. They can write captivating stories that kids latch onto because they understand. Well,
it's written from where their mind wanders and their mind goes, and it's the same place their peers' minds are wandering and going. And there's a lot of positivity, and I'm a firm believer in we have that proverb, and it's a little misunderstood because a lot of English kind of translates it a little incorrectly. But train up a child in the way they would go. It's not would, it's should. Mm-hmm. Train up a child in the way they should go, and the actual indication in the language is sort of their passion, their desire.
Yes.
So I use the example, like let's say you have a child who's super interested in music and likes instruments and stuff like that. Well, you cultivate that interest. And when they're older, they'll stick with it. Take that same child that's interested in music, but you're interested in sports. And so you force the child to play all these sports, and you don't nurture the music, you nurture the sports. Well, as soon as they're out of the house, guess what they're not going to be doing? They're not really going to be producing the sports, because it wasn't an interest of theirs, a passion of theirs. Mm-hmm. So this is a good vehicle, I think, if you have a child who has that kind of passion. Cultivate that passion, and perhaps they can produce something that's publishable and put it on the shelf. And just imagine the pride. I know my child at the time was super proud because here it comes in the mail, some copies of a book that they published. Now, you probably would have never found it at Books A Million and Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that, but it was a final production that he had produced, and it was built on that passion that he had at the time. And so it's something that we need to cultivate.
Well, and the cool thing is when people try and self-publish, or they think about it's just such a... And trust me, I've gone down the rabbit hole, and it's a labyrinth of information of how to self-publish your own book. That's the reason why I wanted to partner with this fantastic illustrator, is because she knows that process. She's done it many times. And through our publishing company, your book will be available on Barnes & Noble, actually. So it'll be available on Amazon. It'll be available on Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart. All of the major resellers is where we can put this book out there to where you actually can get it to your readers.
Oh, yeah. I know clumsily fumbling through publishing 6 books myself, because I did it through Amazon and Kindle, and somehow it ended up on like Walmart online and Barnes and Nobles. I don't know how. Mm-hmm. Someone explained it to me later because I just checked the right box that would allow it to be distributed. And of course, the royalties are far less through that path than if they just bought it at Amazon or something.
Right.
But it helps to have somebody that has kind of already been the forerunner and gone through there
Yes.
and can navigate, help you navigate that terrain and get your resource where more people can utilize that resource. That's really what it's about, is getting that material to as many people that can profit from it, benefit from it as possible.
Absolutely.
Well, we're in kind of a 9-minute window till the end of the program. And I know you have a lot of other stuff going on.
Yes.
And I wanted to give you some time to share about some of those other projects and programs and things you have kind of going on in the community that maybe people aren't fully aware of, because I know you got a lot going on. I see it on Facebook, and
I do.
I have other friends that kind of get plugged in and involved in a lot of those things as well. So why don't you share with the listening audience some of the other things? Because you're doing a lot more than just putting this e-file resource, this book on there, this publishing company, but there's other stuff that's benefiting our local communities.
Absolutely. So in 2020, my sister and I were both from the Lockney community. She lives in Toyah, but still works in Lockney with our family business. And she actually had it on her heart that she wanted to start a nonprofit. She wanted to figure out a way to help children and families in our area, because we know that there is so much need. And especially whenever all the craziness of 2020 was happening, that's when she really felt the push that God was really pushing her to get something started. And she had the name just pop into her head of The Outcome. So if people have seen The Outcome, that I'm the co-founder of that, along with my sister, Nicole Smallstreet. And we serve families in Lockney, Toyah, and the surrounding areas are always welcome to join in those events. We actually just finished up our third annual Shark in the Park event. We held that in Toyah in the end of May, I believe, beginning of June. And then we held it in Lockney at the end of July. And we tried to tailor those to what the community needs. So in Toyah, they just wanted a fun day with lots of prizes and great ways for kids to get involved with their families. So that's what we did for them there. And everything's completely free of charge, thanks to our wonderful community sponsors. We have an outpouring of businesses and individuals in the area that want to provide for this nonprofit, because they know, they've seen for multiple years in a row now that we will do what we've promised. We will have these annual events. They will be as big and as great as what we can afford to make happen. Sometimes we can't afford it, but we figure it out. And that they'll be completely free of charge for all families that attend. In Lockney, we tailored that because the Lockney kids, the need was school supplies. So all prizes at that event was school supplies to where they could get started with the new school year. Through that nonprofit, we also run a clothing closet, which I have at my home. Through an extension of that, now that I am working for Lockney ISD, I've served on the school board for the last 2 years, and this year I decided I wanted to be back in the classroom. And they've afforded me an awesome position there where I can bring these resources into the school for the students. So we have a clothing closet at Lockney Junior High, accessible to students of all ages, but it's housed at the junior high campus. And we also have a We Care closet that provides essential hygiene items, school supplies, positive, stickers and great things for students that they can access during the school day. Again, completely free of charge. So that's just another project.
Well, does that project have a website?
It does. It's www.iamtheoutcome.net.
Okay. So they can go there and get information and stuff
Absolutely.
like that.
And there's pages for the clothing closet and just our nonprofit on social media as well.
Okay. Well, let me ask another question, because when it comes to a nonprofit, that last word tends to be very important. Profit.
Yeah.
Because none of this stuff happens for free.
Never.
But it needs to be free to the end consumer. Like you said,
Correct.
It doesn't cost the family anything. So on that website, if someone wanted to help with this endeavor, is there a place to donate?
We don't actually have that available on our website, but of course, we would gladly accept. The communities have kind of come to expect us that whenever we're about a month out from one of our annual events, so we do our summer event in Lockney and Tulia, we do a fall festival in Tulia, and we do a elves workshop at Christmas time for Lockney. So that's kind of how our schedule runs. And businesses just kind of know to expect that we're going to put that request for sponsorships out there, and God always provides. He always puts it on their hearts to bring it to us. And our main supporter, especially in Lockney, is the Methodist Church and all of the congregations of churches there. They've been a huge supporter of us. So definitely want to put a plug
as
to
they should be.
Our missions committee there at the Methodist Church is always a huge supporter. So individual funding has come in here and there, but we don't have that actively on our website. You could always just email us or call us. Our phone numbers are all over that website.
Okay. That was my next question.
Yes.
There was contact information there.
We do try to leave the funding within the community where it was provided. So if a person from the Lockney community, donates $50, then we try and reserve that for an upcoming Lockney service or Lockney function. Of course, sometimes things go here and there just based on where the funding is needed, but we do our best to make sure it stays in the community where it was funded.
We had a whole program on community not too long ago, and just how all of us, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not, are part of the community. And that community comes in a lot of different forms. I mean, our family is probably the smallest component of community that we're part of. Church is a community that you're a part of. The town that you live in is part of your community. And then it spans out to the county and then the surrounding counties. And ultimately, it goes out to the whole world.
Right.
We are one big, huge global community. I know I'm probably like a lot of people. I like to see the donations and the things that I contribute to happen at that local level. But even the surrounding counties around here where you guys do most of your efforts is at arm's reach to where we're at. And it's a good opportunity. But I just want to kind of give an opportunity to talk about that, because I know there's people out there that are always looking for a good work to support and be involved in. And this is a good work right here at home. This radio station reaches 60-mile radius, and pretty much everything you guys are doing through that program is in that 60-mile radius, is it not?
It is, very much so.
And so it's a good thing to be involved in. Well, we got a little less than 2 minutes left on the program. Anything else you'd like to share with the listening world out there today?
Well, for the drop-off line devotional, this is just volume 1. It's a 6 weeks devotional, and my goal, if I get it in gear, is going to be to reproduce another volume each 6 weeks. So hopefully by the end of the school year, parents will have gained an entire school year's worth of resources to continue to bring to their kids something every day. So this is just volume 1. Keep looking for volume 2. And those will be available on the website as well. Be looking out for some discount codes that hopefully I can get added on there. And again, I just really want to push out there, if you have any trouble with that e-file, please contact me directly. I will text it to you. I will do anything that I can to make sure that you get the resource that you pay for. I've tried to make it at an expense that is easy for families to not even think about, and I hope that once you get it, you will see that it's just a wealth of information. People have asked me, is it just a whole bunch of Bible verses in there? And no, it's not. So I wanted to actually share my favorite one to kind of end with. This is something that my kids and I do every morning, is they look at the sunrise and they identify the colors. I have one daughter that's nonverbal, so she signs the colors to us every morning. So week 3, day 4 the topic is gratitude. And it says, look, take it all in. What do you see this morning that makes you think, wow, God, I see what you did there? So it's just a way for them to recognize their surroundings and for you to start that conversation of, wow, look at this beautiful painting that the Lord painted for us this morning for us to go to school. And just for them to see positivity in that light there. So no, it is not just full of Bible verses. There is a prayer each week, but it focuses on love of self, gratitude, kindness, and creativity along with that prayer. So those are the topics that are covered in this one, and Volume 2 will have all different topics.
Full of all those great characteristics that we as Christians should be displaying to the world each and every day.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Kayla, for being on and joining us today, and perhaps we'll have you on again in the future.
I hope so.
Too, and we can talk about other things that are going on. But we're going to go ahead and sign off. So thank you for tuning in this morning. We look forward to being with you again next Sunday morning here on Cogitations.
Tune in next Sunday at 9 for another edition of Cogitations with Carl Hartman, minister at Main Street Church of Christ in Lockney.